Hey guys, I'm a little red in the face here. I just finished my run and I thought I would bring you with me on my little stretching post run. So disclaimer, I took off my shoes and socks because they're wet. So I've got my nice little house slippers on to keep my feet warm. It snowed this morning, so I knew my feet would get wet as I ran. So I wore 2 pairs of socks. I came in and I took off my shoes and I could totally see the first pair were wet. So I took them off. I took a couple steps and I looked at the ground and they were all the wetness still. So I took those socks off too. So just starting with a basic quad stretch. I have my foot back here. If you can't reach your own foot, you can always use a towel or a stretch band. I always feel that the more you keep your legs together and send your bent knee through the ground, the more you're going to feel that in your quad versus like swinging all around. I'm totally holding on for balance. Again, you get a better stretch if you're not fighting your balance. And after you exert yourself in a workout, in some ways we've centered ourselves a little bit, but in other ways we've tired ourselves out, so we're not going to be as balanced. You want to make sure you're holding each stretch for at least 30 seconds, probably closer to at least a minute. But we want to make sure that we're feeling it, we're breathing through it, returning that central nervous system back down to its calm state. It really was a nice day for a run today. It wasn't too windy. It's like 30 degrees. That's awful that I'm saying that, but it is the end of January, so there's that. If I could wear the same kind of running clothes every day, all year round, this would not be the weather, but it is what it is. And then I'm going to stretch my hamstrings. So instead of bending forward for my toes, I'm going to stay right in front of this box. I'm going to send my hips back. You can put a slight bend in your knees, straighten them as much as you can, and just feel that stretch in your hamstrings. I feel this so much more than if I bend forward for my toes. And then if you really want to get into it, I'm going to bend my back knee and shift everything into that front leg hip. And really feel that hamstring stretch. We're still breathing. I'm going to cough a little bit, sorry. Something about running in the cold air brings out the cough in you. Now I'm going to switch legs. So I'm going to jump everything into that back hip as I bend that front knee. My back leg is still straight there though. You see that? So I did go out for a nice quick 3 miles because I am hungry. I cannot wait to go in and make myself some breakfast. Gonna drink some water. That always helps with the cough too. So the next one is our calf. And some people like to just put their foot up against something and lean kind of into it. I prefer to hang my foot off of something. I feel that that gets my calf so much more. Your calf is right back here. If I just put it up against something up against the ground like a wall, I think my range of motion is too good, that it doesn't get into the calf, and then the calf stays tight. I'm bending this standing leg. I know you can't quite see that, but this would be straight, and I'm bending into it. Again, my hips are back, but my upper body is coming forward a bit. And I'm just going to switch legs. want to never push on your knees, right? So I have my hand up on my quad. You could have your hands down on your shins. I'm holding on to this box over here. We don't want to put unnecessary torque and pressure on our knees. Awesome. And then for my IT bands, I like to cross one foot over the other. And then again, instead of bending forward, I send those hips back and I put my hands on something in front of me, put my hands on my quads, and really shift all that weight back so that you feel your IT band on this leg up here. It runs from up here all the way down across your leg. Your pelvis is the ilium, the iliacus, the third point. And your tibia is down in your shin. So your IT band runs the whole length of your leg. As I switch legs here, interesting tidbit about your calf. You've got two big muscles in your calf. The first one is your gastrocnemius, and that's the big one that everybody knows about, is your calf muscle. And the little one is your soleus muscle. And your gastrocnemius is always working, is always the bigger one, except when your knee is bent. When you bend your knee, you shut your gastrocnemius off, and it is just your soleus. So that's why sometimes people do seated calf raises. I'm going to switch to a groin stretch, so we could come here. Let me back up so you can see that. I'm kind of coming into a lunge with this leg straight, this leg bent, reaching this hand across. That works. I'm going to sit in a yogi squat because I like that better. So yeah, if you see people doing seated calf raises, it's because they're working that little soleus muscle. Therefore, too, if you want to stretch your soleus, you need to bend your knee. Just a little tidbit. So I have my hands in front of me and I'm pushing my knees out against my thighs so that I feel that inner thigh. If you're doing a one-sided lunge, you want to switch halfway through. If you have front of your leg pain, not necessarily shin splints, but you have a muscle in the front of your leg called your tibialis anterior. And if that's bugging you, when we prop our foot up this way for our calf stretch, if you turn your foot in but keep your knee straight, that stretches that tibialis anterior muscle really well. And then I'm going to sit for these next ones just because it's a little easier to see me. I'm going to take my shoulder across, and I'm not shrugging my shoulder. I'm dropping that shoulder down. Some people keep their hand on their upper arm. I've got enough mobility. I'm going to grab all the way down more towards my wrist. Keeping my neck nice and long. The tighter we hold our upper body, the more we need to stretch it out too, right? Here comes the kid. Close the door. I know, because she was calling me first. You know it's important when they call you from in the house instead of finding you. So the next one, you're going to put your hands interlace between your behind your head and stretch your chest forward. Really stretch that chest out. You can do this in a doorway too, where you hang here or pull onto a wall and walk away. All of those will stretch your pec muscles out. And then we're going to go into our side. So as I come over to my side, I am not rounding my upper body. In yoga, they would talk about keeping your heart up to the ceiling so that I feel that all the way through my side, into my back. And now I'm curved over, but I'm not like dumped over, right? Still have energy on it's my left side. That's curved over. My right side, that's straight. Now I'm gonna switch sides. Again, spiraling that heart up as I reach across. Really feel that stretch in there. Awesome. We're going to go down to the ground for the last couple. The first one I'm just going to do is a cobra stretch for my stomach. So I take my hands, I start them right at my rib cage and just lift up. I keep my shoulders down, my hip points heavy, and just stretch that belly out long. Some people like to lay flat on their back and extend their arms overhead and their legs out beneath them and just stretch as long as you can. Whatever you need. We really need to stretch our core because we do work it to hold ourselves upright to run. And then if we sit on our bottoms, we can windshield wiper our legs a little bit. Maybe you'll find a place that feels good that you want to hold it. Maybe you'll just move back and forth. So I'm going to do a figure 4 stretch that you totally could have done seated in that chair, but I like to drop that foot over. So now my top foot is on the ground. I'm pushing my knee away from me. My hip point is staying heavy. I'm supporting my upper body. I'm keeping my torso nice and long. I'm not all lazy and collapsed here. And then back to center before you switch to the other side. So I'm going to cross that ankle over my knee and drop it. Push the knee away from your body. Don't let it come flying into your chest there. We're going to end today with my glute stretch. So when we lay on our backs, maybe we'll tuck both our knees into our chest, one knee, switch it out, roll around, see what feels good. And then when we're ready, instead of taking our knee across our hip, we're going to bring our knee towards our shoulder. So I have my left knee going to my right shoulder. So my left arm and shoulder are still out to the ground. I can look to the left. And the more you pull that knee up towards the opposite shoulder, the more you feel it go into your glutes, into your butt. And you definitely don't have to straighten your leg. Your knee's never going to really touch your shoulder. And then when you're ready, ready, unwind, come back to center. Maybe you take one knee in, maybe you take both. Find what feels good here. And we'll switch to that second side. So my left leg is very straight. My left hand is going to pull my right knee up towards my left shoulder. My right shoulder stays on the ground. I'm going to look past my right hand. And the more you pull up and in, the more it goes up into your glutes. Well, your one glute, your right gluteus maximus, if you started left-handed like I did. Make sure that you're breathing. We don't want to hold too much tension in our body when we are stretching. We are trying to relax. There's a little discomfort, but there should never be pain. It shouldn't be hard to hold. Should be able to have some fluidity within the movement. So there you have it. There's my post-run stretches. I try to, when it's not like super cold, super rainy, start my stretches outside. Because if I start them outside, I'm more likely to finish them inside, right? So I hope you learned something today, stretched along with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. And I always love hearing other people's favorite stretches. So what's yours? Drop it in the comments.